Whoa! Thank you so much for the follow, October. That was very, very sweet of you. As much as I've grown attached to it, I'm gonna be very excited to retire that paper sign when I get my PC up and running and I can start streaming through a real streaming software. How's everybody doing today? How do I sound? How are things? You know, how? How? Today is a nice cup of tea. This was a gift from my little brother. Right now, it just looks like anarchist communist flag, but it's supposed to be an A and then the circle is a Q because my Twitter handle is Comrade Q&A. Glad you're doing all right, Taylor. About to get Dos Equis I regret buying. I hate to be controversial, but you almost always regret buying a Dos Equis. It's one of the only beers that is only drinkable with additive. That being lime. You require lime. For anyone who's new to Sekiro or the run, I have just gotten to the Fountainhead Palace where weird shit happens. It's very exciting. Very, very, very exciting. The book that Taylor was referring to is the book that I am kind of reading in a kind of pseudo super casual book club that we're doing. We are currently reading Anarchy Works by Peter Gelderloos, which was one of Thought Slime's 3 basic anarchist readings that they recommended. We only read through the introduction in chapter 1 for today because I haven't quite figured out the format that I want to do here. But we've got time. You know, we've got time to settle it, to sort it out. For now, I'm going to play some Sekiro, and then we'll get into some meaty quotations. Meaty. True anarchist energy. For the record, I'm scared of the squid boys. That's alright. We overcome. These aren't people, yes. That's correct. Why are they wearing people clothes? Because fashion is their passion. Much as it is mine. If you had the opportunity to wear fly as hell blue robes, would you not? You know, person or no, I'd wear fly as hell purple robes. Graphic design is not my passion. The most graphic design I've ever done is an all lowercase, basic font, single word of text that I spray painted onto a t-shirt, which looks really cool, but it's certainly not breaking any records here, you know. It's fine. Goose, you having a tough time? Well, you gotta get outside the glass box, silly. Your partner's playing Mario Odyssey across the room. I'm turning her into a gamer girl. Slowly but surely. Woo. Kinda. They don't have like the tail, but they've still got like the long tentacle head. So the Fountainhead Palace is the source of the rejuvenating waters, which is what the people in Mibu Village were drinking, and they were turning into monsters. Oh, it's all bad. Whoa, 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 whoa. 2-on-1 is a rough time, but I'm powerful. I first tried my favorite boss yesterday on stream. Yeah. You noticed how that time I wasn't even watching. Because I'm a professional. What can I say? Some people, Sekiro just comes naturally to them. Born talent. I would not say that I am mechanically gifted. Just to clear that up real quick. Up, 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 up. No sympathy for alien dogs. Cool. What's the matter? You looking it up? Oh. Ooh. They're not as good at being sneaky as I am. It's true. It's true. Oh. Like I said, no sympathy for alien dogs. If any of y'all have played FromSoft games before, you know how much of a problem dogs are. Or heck, if you've seen Patriot Act propaganda film, The Dark Knight, you know how much of a problem dogs are. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. We can't do it. We tried. Ah, we got it. The platforming in this game is not a, Yeah, it was a little bit of a snarky comment. It's a very strange film. It's kind of trying to do like a 9/11 terrorism plotline, and then there's the whole plotline at the end about mass surveillance and how it's good actually, but only if the right people use it. And it's like, maybe we don't need to do that. It's a good movie. Yeah, it's still a good movie. But if you read it in social context, you get a little bit of icky feelings. Rest. Rest. Rest is good. Rest is good. I realize that my self-care message is not actually a self-care message, but it follows from that message into self-care. Oh, no, 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 no! No, no, no! If the tentacle tail people see you, they blow their little whistle and they suck your maximum health away. It's very bad.
Young man, please be careful. The palace nobles have a craving for the vitality of youth. They can't help themselves. They want nothing but to sap away more and more.
Goose, if that spot's not working for you, maybe you want to try a different spot?
In particular, it is accursed. It's
Well,
crawling with palace
how many
nobles.
sides does a box have?
If you must forge ahead, you'd best go around it.
No. How many sides does a box have? Mm-hmm. You've tried 4 of them. Am I gonna watch the Snyder Cut? You bet your ass I'm gonna hate watch that film. It's gonna be glorious. That movie is gonna be so bad good, so good bad.
You young man,
What is it?
it's about my father. My father is now a noble, and the moment he became one, he found
I too want to become a
himself
carp.
entranced by a carp, the great carp. For a long, long time since, he's done
Goose,
nothing but
the
feed
box has
that
a top.
cursed carp. Young man, please release my father from the carp's bewitching powers. I know my father wouldn't wish.
Are you gonna watch the Snyder Cut?
Like that.
Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Oh, this has gone quite poorly. It's all gone wrong. No, 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 no! Rip. Probably gonna do a Mulan again, where I acquire it via other means, because I'm sure he's gonna charge out the ass for it. We like to call it sharing. Goose, did you get it? Jump on top of the box. Yes, you can. If many of them see you at once, you're done fucked. Do we know? Because it's coming out on HBO Max, right? Is it coming out for like $30 to rent? Like Mulan did? Are they gonna do that shit again? Stop. 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 Phone, no, now is not the time. Terror, terror, fear. Oh! Oh, no, 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 no. It's all gone wrong. You react quickly when things go badly, and then you survive. You gotta remember all your jumpy moves, baby. All your jumpy moves, I mean. Yellow gunpowder. Somebody knows I exist. But they won't survive for long. How are you doing, Max? It's been a while since we've checked in. me up. Let me up. Pretty good. That's good to hear. That is good to hear. Really showing out tonight, folks. Oh my goodness. No way? Is he nice? I hope he's treating you right. He's great. What's his deal? What kind of music is he into? That's a big question. That's the question you ask at the beginning of every relationship. What do they listen to? Where's the whistler? Found the whistler. Ah, it's a 2-on-1 again. 70s Turkish psych rock. You know what? I've been defeated at my own game. I can't even look down on someone who listens to something I've literally never even considered. It's a beautiful thing. I hope that 70s Turkish psych rock is everything that I dream it is. Golly. Hyperpop and queer dance music, etc., etc. Hell yeah. I'm not sure if I have enabled permissions to post links in my chat. Allow me to fix that. Links are enabled. You may post a link. There you go. There you go. I mean, that all sounds great. That all sounds great. No, no, no. No, 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 no. Ooh, baby. That's a good review from Taylor if I've ever heard one. Box. Water of the Palace. A cup filled with divine waters, a drink popular with nobles of the palace. When a wedding procession arrives at the Fountainhead Palace, this is the drink they are greeted with. The nectar of the palace nobles. Go ahead and drink to your heart's content. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's a good idea. It didn't tell me what it does. And all the village folks from the previous town were having a very bad time with the water of the palace. Oh! I wish you wouldn't, actually. Channel is an archive of his tummy. I'm gonna have to check that out post stream, because currently I'm fighting monsters, and you don't want to be too distracted while you're fighting monsters. That might be something of a hot take, but trust me, I'm a professional. Ooh, ooh. Ah! I'm gonna die. Yup. I should have run away. I should have run away. Did you all enjoy that peek up my nose? That was unintentional, I'm very sorry. No one should be subject to that. Yikes. Stop seeing me. Yikes. You... This is like the only time in the game where you're actually required to be stealthy. Because if these folks see you, it's all over. There's nothing you can do. Ooh. Let me in. Lump of grave wax. How you doing, Taylor? How you doing? My discussion gets more lively when I can talk about things that are fueling my fire, so to speak. Plus, it's looking pretty likely that we're gonna be here a while. Take your time then. We'll get there. No. Has anyone else in chat read this book? I know some of y'all are here from the Discords I'm in, which are not shy of politics. I thought for a second you were referring to the book, and I was like, Max, when? Which, I don't know, maybe you have. Have you read this book? My fave conspiracy theory? I'll tell you. Chapstick. Chapstick is, I'm not sure if this is provable or not. Chapstick is an irritant that is designed to give brief relief. Oh shit. A brief period of relief followed by worsening of your lip problems, right? To make you buy more chapstick. Now I can't prove this is the case, but hear me out. Wouldn't it make sense for the chapstick companies I'm specifically talking about chapstick brand chapstick here. I have takes on other chapsticks as well, mostly just that they don't work. Except Carmex is the only good one. And I'll defend that. I'll defend that take in a court of law. What's your favorite conspiracy theory? Burt's Bees doesn't work. Burt's Bees doesn't work. Illiteracy is a defense against statism. It's fucking sick, and I wish I couldn't read anymore. Illiteracy as a defense against statism is fucking sick, and I wish I couldn't read. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about now. It took me a second. Yes, it's dope as fuck. Was he talking about the post-state? Was he talking about the post-state societies, or was he talking about like one of the societies that never developed a state? the barbarians gave up written language. Yeah, this is the post-state hill people in China, right? Gave up written language in favor of a more decentralized oral culture. Without written records and a specialized class of scribes, history became common property rather than a tool for indoctrination. That is so fly. You can't have revisionism because there's no singular body writing the text. It's brilliant. Because like the role that school plays in the state's propaganda is just disgusting. Like, my mom's a teacher, and she is oblivious to the things that I tell her about the subjects that she teaches. It's not her fault, it's just not in the curriculum, you know? I love her dearly. But school needs to be redesigned from the ground up, to say the least. Alright, we're not gonna rest, because I don't want all those guys coming back to life. There's a mini-boss I gotta go kill. Yeah, that's cool as hell. I really love that they took the time to talk about post-state civilizations. Because, like, I'm just really sick of that. There's the common sense understanding of history is that it's linear progress from, like, barbarism to civilization. And that's just so factually untrue. And it's one of those things that really, really, really needs to be addressed. The book that Tyr is reading, a David Graeber book about debt and history through the lens of, like, looking at it as like following debt through history, talks about the common sense understanding of economics was that it originally went I'm gonna get to that quote, but there's this common sense understanding of economics that it started with barter, and then they invented money, and then they invented credit and debt. Which is literally the exact opposite of how it has always worked. Originally, the idea of credit and debt came first because it was just like, Tommy needs a pair of shoes, Bill has a pair of shoes, but Bill doesn't need anything from Tommy right now, but he knows Tommy will get him back later. And then, once it started getting to a bigger scale, they invented money as a way to keep track of those debts, that credit and those debts. And then the idea of barter was invented by economists and only ever applies to civilizations that already are familiar with money but have for some reason lost it. Isn't that interesting? How our entire common sense understanding of history is just literally backwards on certain things, certain important things like economics. Anywho, your quote. But it is Eurocentric, to say the least, to assume that a hunter-gatherer who knows the uses of 1,000 different plants is less sophisticated than an operator at a nuclear power plant who knows how to push 1,000 buttons, doesn't know where his food comes from. Yeah, you should read that debt book too. No, it's not you specifically. I have a bad habit of trying to jump on whatever the next chat message is. And so, like, I get rambly, I lose my train of thought the whole fucking time. Speaking of, I just did, because that quote you posted is fantastic, and I fully agree with it. Oh boy. It's a bull. Maybe don't. Actually, or not. Oh, no. The trick to the bull is you don't actually fight the bull. You get behind the bull and you don't let it hit you. That is the secret of the bull. No. Forgive me, I've spoken. No. No more bull. No more bull. I will never be relevant or decipherable with Dust Pie. It is insanely simple about barter versus debt. Yeah. Like the caricaturization of cut the bull. Got him. Right in the ear hole. The caricaturization of supposedly primitive societies, like just completely missing like how these things worked. Like there are indigenous people alive that we can talk to, and they still do things the way that they used to do before we started killing them all. Like, we know the history. It's very much a living history. We can talk to those people and figure out what's up, but we just don't. So, like, we just assumed a barter system when, like, no, most of the Native American tribes that I've heard of had, like, a storehouse, and then people would go to the storehouse and be like, I need things, and then the storehouse would be like, yeah, you can have the thing. Wild. I don't know. That's actually a big point that I want to get at from the introduction. Is I think, shit. I mean, we're doing it. We're here. We're here now. We're doing it. Let's find the quote. Let's do this like real professionals. Do this like real professionals. I'm very excited to be able to put text up on screen. I think that's what I'm going to try to be doing. Did that sentence make sense? Who knows? Who cares? But what about human nature? Marked a shift to scientific arguments at a time when divine arguments no longer sufficed. This is another thing. Yes, it's a scientific sounding version of the same faith-based argument. It's another thing that David Graeber talks about in the Debt Book. I'm going to keep going back to that because I read it more recently than I read these chapters. The invisible hand of the market. Literally, when that phrase was invented, the invisible hand of the market was invented by a Christian speaking about God's divine hand. The invisible hand of the market is God, literally speaking. And now we just use it talking about like, that's just how economics works. And it's like, no, it's not. That's what someone who believed in God thought economics worked like. No, it's not. And I'm not to say that God doesn't exist, but God doesn't interfere in the marketplace. Like, no, you cannot do this. No. Oh my goodness. I want to start out talking about this book with the poem from the introduction of the book. And get a sip. It's a long one, but I'm going to read it out loud because it's beautiful. There are hidden stories all around us, growing in abandoned villages in the mountains or vacant lots in the city, petrifying beneath our feet in the remains of societies like nothing we've known, whispering to us that things could be different. But the politician you know is lying to you. The manager who hires and fires you, the landlord who evicts you, the president of the bank that owns your house, the professor who grades your papers, the cop who rolls your street, the reporter who informs you, the doctor who medicates you, the husband who beats you, the mother who spanks you, the soldier who kills for you, and the social worker who fits your past and future into a folder and a filing cabinet all ask, what would you do without us? It would be anarchy. And the daughter who runs away from home, the bus driver on the picket line, the veteran who threw back his medal but holds on to his rifle, the boy saved from suicide by the love of his friends, the maid who must bow to those who can't even cook for themselves, the immigrant hiking across a desert to find her family on the other side, the kid on his way to prison because he burned down a shopping mall they were building over his childhood dreams, the neighbor who cleans up the syringes from the vacant lot hoping someone will turn it into a garden, the hitchhiker on the open road, the college dropout who gave up on a career and health insurance and sometimes even food so he could write revolutionary poetry for the world. Maybe all of us can feel it. Our bosses and tormentors are afraid of what they would do without us, and their threat is a promise. The best parts of our lives are anarchy already. I mean, really, that's it, isn't it? I mean, really, that's it. Oh my god, the introduction to this book has been my favorite part of the book so far. I'm just having yeah, I mean, I am absolutely moved. Okay, we're in control. Thanks for listening to me. I had a moment when I was reading that, and I am really glad that I get to share it with whoever listens. Good book. So in the introduction, we want to start out by talking about like the basic concepts and like how like the basic concepts of anarchy and how we can apply those to the examples that we're talking about. Like what can we get out of them and how do they fit into these certain things. So like the basic principles that they list at the beginning of the book are autonomy and horizontality, mutual aid, voluntary association, direct action, revolution, and self-liberation. And so they use these principles to kind of build off of to talk about the societies that we get to later. And I have a note here. When it's talking about autonomy and horizontality, yeah, sorry, carp, there's a fish. I have a note here. Under autonomy and horizontality, it talks about they should foster power to act freely rather than power over others. And I have a note here that's something that means a lot to me specifically is the concept of positive and negative freedoms. So like when anarchists are talking about, so like when the United States is talking about freedoms, they're talking about negative freedoms. Negative freedoms is the idea of no one stopping you. So like the right to free speech is a negative freedom, because the government isn't going to step in and stop you from saying something. A positive freedom is when you are empowered to act in a way that you want to, and that includes like material support. So anarchists are talking about positive freedom when we talk about freedom. It is not only not standing in the way of someone doing something, but it is building a structure through which people are empowered and have the resources to do the things that they want to do. So it's not, yeah. I think that's a big, I'm glad, I like the way that they phrased that, is what I'm saying. I really like that he takes a second to talk about how we shouldn't be applying the label anarchist to a lot of these societies, because anarchism was invented in Europe and it is something specific, and we don't want to put that on people. Like indigenous groups wouldn't call themselves anarchist even if they did things in a horizontal power structure, and it wouldn't be our place to put that label on them, because they've been doing it for a lot longer than anarchism has existed as an ideology. I liked that. I thought that was important. Big contrast with libertarianism, exactly. Libertarianism isn't really talking about freedom because they're not actually trying to help you get anything. Stirner's point makes you stop thinking. Oh boy. Without institutionalized competition and exploitation, a person's self-interest overlaps with the interest of her community and environment. Seeing our relationships with our friend and nature as fundamental parts of ourselves expands our sense of connection with the world and our responsibility for it. It is not in our self-interest to be dominated by authorities or to dominate others. In developing a broader sense of self, we can structure our lives and communities accordingly. I agree. That is something that I talked about as well with Malatesta's pamphlet. Oh, baby! That's a one-shot move. That's a lot. I fell for it again. Yeah, self-interest and social interest are not mutually exclusive. They're not even opposed at all. The whole idea is that we want to structure society in such a way that self-interest and social interest are the same. At least as much as they can be, you know? I like that. Because, like, I like to give presents to my friends. I know that I do it for me. Gee golly. I know that I do it in part for me. I'm not talking about my ex-wife. Hey. Yeah, like I love to give presents to people. I love to, like, people like to do volunteer work, do charity work. People like to help each other. It's a thing that we like to do, and we should recognize that and be like, what if we just made that a bigger part of our whole society? I think that's a fine point that Sterner made. Yeah, Sterner is an egoist, and I know a lot of anarchists who are egoists as well. There's like an egoist anarchist flag even. It's not the prettiest colors, I'll tell you that. So, our basic principles that are in the introduction are things that we want to examine. And then also it presents a bunch of questions that we want to ask, and what can we get out of these examples that we're talking about. And then when you want to ask about isolation, should we be isolated, should we not? want to ask about alliances. Should we consider them? Should we not? And how should we do so? You want to talk about repression. How to overcome it. How does it work? Things like that. We're going to talk about collaboration. Pitfalls of certain types of collaboration, the best ways to collaborate, things like that. You want to talk about temporary gain. Is it useful to compromise for temporary gain sometimes? I don't know. These are questions that we should be asking as we go through. Those questions are isolation, alliances, repression, collaboration, and temporary gain. I'm gonna forget. I'm gonna forget. But it's oh good. Aye. Just kill the sports get ball players so that we can move on. I'm trying to. I realize that it may not be a very good idea to try to be doing a game stream and a book club stream at the same time, especially not Sekiro, which is a little bit demanding. But I'm gonna do it anyway because my PC gets here. My PC parts get here next weekend, and I will be free to do other formats then. But for now, we're gonna keep going. Yeehaw! Yes. The next section is about the issue of representation. The tricky business of representation. Because, as the author so kindly points out, he's a white dude. He's a white dude talking about largely non-white civilizations. I bought my PC parts from newegg.com. Brand new egg. It's the only one that I could really think of. Okay, this is gonna go badly, but hear me out. Oh, there's more than I thought. Yes! The Puppeteer Jutsu I never used until this playthrough. It is so incredibly useful. I've got Lightning Spear Dude on my side. On my team. They still hit me. I don't love that. I was able to get a GPU for not $1 million because I bought one that's 1,000,000 years old. I got a RX 570, yeah. So it's not on the cutting edge by any means. But it'll work. You know. Because the last time I upgraded my PC, I never upgraded my PC. I built it in like 2013. It's like 8 years old. So bring it into the 21st century, and we can move on from there. I'm really excited. If anyone gets interested in the book that we are reading, I am interested in doing. You're trying to get an RX 570? I got it off the Newegg. I spent maybe a little bit more than it's worth. I got mine for $340. So I hope that it's not broken. Maybe I just got lucky on the day that I was looking? I don't know. Anywho, the format that I'm interested in playing around with for this book club is I'd like to do like a Discord call so that we can all speak instead of typing in chat, and I'd like to do like a casual round of golf with your friends while we talk about a book and theory. Just something really light that like can be put up on screen while we all have a wonderful time and talk about talk about books and politics and all that good. Mac, what do you mean? How? I don't think it would be unfair to call shenanigans on that. We could absolutely cycle between two books if you're interested. I think that'd be fun. I was just kind of starting with the books that I have been meaning to get around to reading, but haven't yet. Of course, as always, I have a beautiful Discord with a channel for discussing suggestions and discussing texts. So, what's going wrong? So if you have some suggestions for books, please tell me in the Discord. I also have a suggestion box on my Twitch page, which I haven't been checking. I hope no one's been using it. I mean, I hope you have been using it, but I hope you haven't been offended if I haven't checked it. Okay, we're good. I killed the ghost. Killed the ghostman. The dog threw me for a loop halfway through the fight there. Yeah, I'm totally open to that idea. Absolutely. If I can get a group of like 3 people who can consistently play golf and talk about books, I think that would be a really cool format to have like a round table discussion. Yes. Any hoozle. On to the next bit of the introduction, where they're talking about representation again, because it's a white dude. I really appreciate that he says representation is not a neutral process. It can become very easy to project instead of observe. You must be careful of that. And of course, it is important to recognize the way that colonization works. People were forcibly colonized either through military or economic action, which of course affects the way that we view them, but it also affects the way that they interacted in their societies. Because like when you introduce a new currency and new markets, then people who originally didn't have money or didn't have a state are going to start behaving in a way that we are more familiar with, because now it's been imposed upon them. So it's important to recognize that. I really appreciate this quote where he's like, we don't know exactly how to accomplish this balancing act, but we're hoping we'll learn by trying. Which is just a really nice attitude to have. He goes on to make a point about how some indigenous groups, whom we consider comrades, would say that we have no right to represent their struggle in any way, which is fair. I do think they tried to get permission from everyone that they could on the things that they're talking about. Whoop! I didn't mean to, but it works. Hello? I also really like that there's this point that he makes where he says, superpowers replenish when you pick them up in the overworld, and then they go into storage, and then if you have some in storage, they replenish when you rest. I really like this quote. The central question this book seeks to address, whether anarchy could work, seems itself to be Eurocentric. Only a people who have obliterated the memory of their own stateless past could ask themselves whether they need a state. Glorious. It's fantastic. Let's get one of you puppeted. I'd like to do a puppet ninjutsu. Yes. I actually haven't counted. I haven't been dying a whole lot. I haven't been like using them a whole lot, so I feel like I probably have a lot. Oh, there's an archer. It's all gone wrong. I'm much better at group fights in other Souls games. No. Dick joke named Comrade. No, Taylor, I'm afraid you stand alone. Ooh, Dragon Spring Sake! Are you offended? I hope that's okay. Dick jokes are funny sometimes. I specify, sometimes. Oh baby, we got a mini boss. If I remember correctly, this one's not too bad. But first, a nice quote that I think we should all think on. The question he posed to us was, if anarchists who are mostly Euro-American are going to take lessons from indigenous or other communities, cultures, and nations, what will we offer in return? I hope that wherever possible, we offer solidarity, widening the struggle and supporting other peoples who struggle against authority without calling themselves anarchists. After all, if we are inspired by a certain other societies, shouldn't we do more to recognize and aid their ongoing struggles? I think that's very nice. I think that's very nice. No, stop. Weakling. This one is not too bad. Yeah, I think that's really important. I think especially in the United States, the most important people to be listening to right now are indigenous and black people of color. Black and indigenous people of color are the voices that we need to be listening to right now. They are going to be the spearhead of any kind of American revolutionary action, just by the nature of having the deepest understanding. Oh, hello.
Young man,
The deepest understanding of the way that America specifically
Yes.
if you
oppresses.
are, you should take the back path. Nowadays it's underwater, but there is a large cave you can take to get there. Only, I hear the great carp now sleeps there.
Oh, also, especially with friggin' climate change, baby. Indigenous people have been sustainably tending to the earth for thousands of years, and then capitalism came along friggin' 300 years ago and fucked everything up. So we absolutely need to be listening to indigenous people when it comes to that. so that we can save our green planet. Our beautiful blue pebble. Carp. I'm going to become a carp. Anywho. Daddy Elon is taking us nowhere. At most, he's gonna fuck off to another planet when this one's uninhabitable and just leave the poor people to die. But I honestly doubt that he is ever going to make Mars livable. Honestly doubt it. It seems like a, I don't know, it seems like a 13-year-old boy's fantasy. Which, hey, I was ostensibly a 13-year-old boy once. It's a cool fantasy. But even if we are going to colonize other planets, are we going to be doing that in a meaningful time frame? Like, I don't know, fam. He's been saying within the next 10 years for the last like 5 years, and I don't see any fucking progress. You're trying to die in a mine collapse on an asteroid? I'm gonna say no thank you to that plan. I'm just gonna find some little patch of earth somewhere and grow potatoes. That's what I'll do. Until the soil becomes unusable. And then, I don't know. I want to become a carp. Treasure carp scale. Give me more. More carp. More carp para me. All right, Taylor. We've done some introduction. Hit me with some of your favorite tidbits from chapter 1. I'm curious to see what stuck out to you. Maybe we'll have time to get back to mine, but maybe not. I don't care. You're more important. Mostly because I want to keep the game moving while we talk about it. Precious bait. Precious slugs. Yeah, I did all of this reading like 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago? What is time? Does time exist? Are we in a post-time society now? Who even knows anymore, man? Yeah, take your time, sift. Ah. Well, I died to Headless once. Twice. I died to Headless a few times. This is only the second one that I will have killed. I do plan to kill this one. Here's a banger. Stop it. Yashikaru Spiritfall. Alright, hit me with that banger. Human survival depends on generosity. The next time someone tells you a communal anarchistic society could not work because people are naturally selfish, tell him he should withhold food from children pending payment. Do nothing to help his parents, have a dignified retirement, never donate to charities, and never help his neighbors or be kind to strangers unless he receives compensation. Exactly. so much of our common sense understanding of like actual day-to-day economics is just purely generosity. You just give things to people you care about because of course you do. Because of course you do. Because you want to see people live. That is such a fine point. I've brought this up to my mom a few times because she has this real issue. Mom, if you ever watch this VOD, I love you dearly, but you have this issue. She has this issue where every time I try to talk about these things, she goes, but what about human nature? Aren't people naturally selfish, naturally dominating, naturally whatever? It would never work. And I say, Mom, what about you? You're the kindest, most loving person that I have ever met. You would do anything for a charity. If anyone asked you for anything, you'd do anything for them. Of course you would. If you wouldn't apply those labels to yourself, why would you assume that everyone else is horrible and greedy? Like, if you're not, why do you think everyone is? You already have proof that it's not true. The truth is, capitalist realism is a hell of a drug, and manufactured consent simply cannot be stopped. Propaganda is extremely powerful. But you get it. It's a fine point. It's a point that needs to be made. Okay, I'm never going to catch these fish. I'm moving on. Where am I moving on to? Is this the way? Yeah. Yeah, it's a fine point. People are horrible and greedy when circumstances make them that way. Yes, exactly. And one of the circumstances that makes them that way is market capitalism. Because of course, if you have to scrape every single penny you can get your hands on just to afford dinner for your kids, yeah, you're gonna have a little bit of a fuck you got mine attitude. Of course you are. But if, say, the 33% of all food that's thrown away in America every year was given freely, then you wouldn't. If food was freely available, you wouldn't have to fight so hard to have it. Yeah, the really, really free markets is cool. Oh, fish saw me. Oh, fish saw me. Oh, no. I would love to do something like that in Austin. I don't know how to set that up. Yeah, I saw the cops defending the garbage can during the ice storm. Like in full riot gear with automatic weapons? From people who were dumpster diving? Are you joking? Ah! I don't know if a fish has a health bar, but I'm not gonna stick around to find out. Yeah, exactly. If your needs are met, you become a very nice person. Which, you know, I'm sure Bill Gates is a very, very nice person. Of course he is. What reason would he have to not be? It's not like he's gonna fight anyone for anything ever again. But also, fuck Bill Gates. That one's just for you guys. I know Food Not Bombs is active in Austin, and I would be interested in working with them provided this pandemic ever ends. Oh my goodness. I went into a fugue state for a second there, sorry. Yes! Yes, please! Robert's father came from afar across seas to the south in search of the undying. Repelling 1,000 blades was a small price for the blessing of rejuvenation. That big guy in armor that we killed earlier came to get medicine for his son. Gift economies, how they shame people for talking about the value of a gift. Yeah. How transactional Christmas is at your family's house. Yes, exactly. Like putting a price cap, like putting a price expectation on a gift makes it, hey ho, welcome, makes it so much less genuine to me. And this is something that David Graeber talks about in the Debt book too. That's like, so like there's always going to be that, maybe not always, but it's going to be very, very difficult to get rid of that like sense of debt and obligation to a person when they give you a thing, you know? But if we get rid of money and the way that money works, then we can, at the very least, if it can't be like tracked in number form, then it's impossible to quantify, which makes it impossible to like hold over someone, you know? If your debts are just obligations to people that you know, and there is no like book detailing how much money you owe, then no one can hold that over you. It can't become like an enforceable thing. Which I think is really nice. And that's another thing. That's a weird thing about my partner's Christmas. I'm gonna shit on her family for a second, but in a loving way.
Hello?
I'm not actually shitting on her family. But they do, every year they do a Secret Santa, but they also do like just gifts for the people who are in their immediate families. And every single person in the family has a list, like a shopping list of items that they want, and that's it. Everybody just buys you what you want from your list, and then you don't think about it anymore. And it's like, are you even really giving a gift at that point? Like, because I don't care about the money. I just want you to think about me. I just want the thought. I don't know. I can see how it's nice, but yeah, it's weird to me. Ordering off of the favor app and being like, all right, bud, I'll get you next time. Yeah, no stress, no stress. I'll get you next time. That's very funny. Lizards cause me nothing but stress. Just headaches all around. Oh no 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 no! It's all gone wrong. Teleportation station. Oh my goodness, y'all! I've been working on my Valentine's tradition in Japan, where the women give chocolate to the men, And the next month, the men would have to usually get a more expensive gift to whoever gave them chocolate. So it's like gift giving with interest. That is very interesting. It still seems weird to me. It seems weird. I mean, special occasions are one thing. Like I can understand the obligation of feeling like you need to give a gift to the people that you're close to, like your loved ones. I can understand how that feels like an obligation, but I do think that you lose a little bit of the value of gift giving if it's not a little bit spontaneous. Like in some way, like thought and love and care goes into it, you know? I don't know. Just getting gushy. Just getting gushy about gifts. I just love my sweet, sweet gifts. I stopped telling my family what I wanted for Christmas many, many years ago. Just because... I don't know. Just because I wanted to see what they wanted to give me. You know? Ooh boy! Quote time. Often, a person cannot consume what they produce all by themselves. The meat from a day's hunt will go bad before you can eat it all. A tool, like a saw, will lay unused most of the time if it is the property of a single person. It makes more sense to give away most of the meat or share your saw with your neighbors because you're ensuring that in the future they will give extra food to you and share their tools with you. You and your neighbors become richer without having to exploit anyone. Yes. Yes. That is the basis of all of it, and it's so idyllic and beautiful, and I adore it. I would do anything to live in that society. What? I am confused. Oh, trees. Trees, of course. The answer is trees. The answer is always trees, though, isn't it? Would I kill for it? Let me think about this one. Depends on the context. Ooh, spooky. We'll say depends on the context. And I'll leave it there without elucidating any further. How about that? Okay, well, that was almost good. I would kill the day's hunt and share the meat with my neighbors. How's that float your boat? How's that suit your fancy? I'm doing everything that I can to become self-sufficient through this, and by this I mean my streaming platform, and through the tiny home that my partner and I are going to invest in on her sister's land, so that we can grow food. We are not beholden to a boss, and we can help our community. That is the dream life. That is what I would do to live in that society. I would build it. I would build it with my hands. Okay, this is gonna be tough. No, I did the thing. So the revolution is a tough concept. Because, like, I'm a little bit torn on it, right? I don't think the revolution is going to be the way that, like, the Bolsheviks did it. You know what I mean? I think it's more likely that it'll be movements like, well, like for instance, the Black Lives Matter riots over the summer. I think that the revolution, especially in America, is going to look a lot more like that, where you get a mass movement of people who push out the state, not necessarily peaceful, just not a military takeover, you know? So it'll be like pushing out the state from a region and then setting it up and defending it. So it'll be like that combined with economic collapse, because America's unsustainable, it's going to collapse. Sorry. That combined with economic collapse will lead to like a balkanization of the United States, where it like falls apart into a bunch of communities that hopefully will have built up enough self-sustainability to care for themselves as small communities. And I think that's what the revolution is more likely going to look like in the United States. Not to say that it would be nonviolent, because as we have all seen, I'm not advocating for violence, I'm advocating for self-defense. Because as we have all seen, the police and the military will shoot first. Every time. Every single time they will shoot first. I don't know, can I get taken off of Twitch for being like, buy a gun? Yeah, balkanization is the term that's used specifically for that process. Oh baby, it's boss time. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I want to pray. That's what I want to do. I want to pray. Balkanization is a term after the Balkans, which was like a peninsula that was one unit that fell apart to become multiple different countries through a process of like political fracturing. And so balkanization is when one larger country falls apart into smaller like nations or whatever within it. I guess not specifically nations in this context. Am I yelling? Can you hear me when I'm talking like this? I'm getting excited. I was in theater for many, many years in grade school, so I project when I'm performing. This is the Divine Realm. And that's a spooky boy. With a flute. This whole time, the Fountainhead Palace has been the Divine Realm. There's supposed to be a representation of the corruption of the divine dragon. Oh, I forgot how cool that is. Oh, absolutely. The absolute number of yeah, unfortunately it's quite contextual, but it's still cool. Yeah, the number of national tragedies where people are just realizing that the government is not going to help you. That's going to radicalize a lot of people, I think. I mean, I hope. baby. Yes, I hope it radicalizes him in the right direction. That's a fine point. I think now would be a really good time to leverage the opportunity from the left, because the fascists are out there in full force, taking our sweet children. Won't somebody think of the children? Oh boy. I don't know if people are turning to the right because of a no left alternative. I think people are turning to the right because of like what I was talking about yesterday with the black pill. Just the doom ideology, you know? We need to be providing hope. There are a lot of leftos out there who are like fully black pilled, which for those of you who don't spend a whole lot of time on Twitter, the black pill is like the red pill equivalent of realizing that everything's fucked and nothing's gonna fix it. Right? So these fascist cults essentially are like recruiting people based on the idea that oh no, please. I don't remember this fight being at all difficult. Got him. Let go. Yeah, so what I was saying, fascists, gracious gift of tears. I love that. Fascists are recruiting because they're like, hey, everything is fucked. Nothing is going to get better. Why don't you come with us and force the end? It's like so many fascists are talking about a second civil war like they want one. And that's what it is. They're like, we have to break it. We have to break it to make it better. And it's scary, man. I don't want to take part in a second civil war. Yeah, don't take the black pill. I released a whole fucking... I did a whole tirade about it yesterday. And I put it in clip form. And it's not a very good tirade. It's... whatever. Don't take the black pill. Things can only get better if you want them to get better. Hit me with that last banging quote, B. The divine dragon, ancient deity of the Everblossom. From youth, we are taught that we have to be better than everyone else to be worth anything to ourselves. Corporations justify firing workers, depriving them of sustenance and health care so the company can stay competitive. Fortunately, it does not have to be this way. Industrial capitalism is only one of thousands of forms of social organization humans have developed, and with any luck, it won't be the last. Yes. Yes, thank you. Taylor, I'm glad that you're reading along. I'm glad that you're having a good time with the book. I'm glad that you are help keeping me motivated to continue reading. If you have suggestions on other stuff that you want to read, drop them in the Discord, baby. Anyone who wants to be part of that Discord, here's how you get in. We're building a society of friends. Come join us. Good night, Taylor. Love you. Alright. The body of the divine dragon is eternal, and its tears, once shed, will maintain their form in moisture in perpetuity. Should one of the dragon's heritage partake of the dragon's tears, immortal severance will be reified. Quick! What does reified mean? To make something concrete or real. Make it not fake.
Lord Ishin.
Lord Ishin, what happened?
Lord
Lord Ishin
has succumbed
to his illness and passed away.
I see.
I'm sure you sense
That sucks.
the Central Forces have taken this opportunity to attack the castle.
And the divine heir.
Here.
Secret passage key. Tight.
This key, my lord has escaped the castle.
That key takes me to the boss of the game, which I'm not gonna fight yet.
The secret passage can be found along the moat in the Ashina Reservoir, not far from the
Because I want to do the optional
Lord
bosses
Kuro
first.
escaped the castle through that secret passage, and should be waiting for you in the silver grass field.
Understood.
The Nightjar have left smoke signals on the roofs under Lord Ishin's orders. The smoke should lead the way to Lord Kuro.
Alright. Alright. Enhance attack power. The divine dragon of the Everblossom came from the west long ago, eventually making its way to this land. Some parts of Ashina are exceedingly old. Water coursing through her ancient rocks and soil allowed the dragon to take root. Yeah, it's wild, right? I knew when like the trailers came out, it was like pure samurai shinobi aesthetic. But then I knew, because in one of the later trailers they revealed like the giant snake, and I'm like, oh, this game's gonna get wild. Sure enough, it absolutely did. Is the dragon China? I don't know. I don't know. The dragon in the game represents the dragon grants the gift of immortality. It represents like the pure and unsullied immortality. The reason that immortality has become corrupted in Japan is because the dragon was never supposed to take root here. It wasn't ever supposed to be a part of this world. I'm not exactly sure what its symbolism is, or why it has to return to the West, or where the West refers to, or any of that. If anybody has any knowledge on like Japanese mythology, let me know. Yeah, until what, like World War II?
Lord Kuro, the Seekies, the Knight, the Small Master.
What is
I that.
Yes.
Give Gordseed.
For those who have the natural, they're here. I pray that.
Ah! That's a mechanic I should have learned about way, way earlier, but I did not. Alright. Let's go fight some optional bosses, huh? I guess, in particular, one. There's one optional boss. There's a death mechanic in this game called Unseen Aid that has, at most, a 30% chance of meaning you lose nothing on death. The more times that you die, the more you die, the more you have an increased chance of infecting NPCs with dragon rot. And every NPC that is infected with dragon rot reduces your every NPC that's infected with dragon rot reduces your chances of an unseen aid when you die. And then if you give Emma, oh my, I'm gonna leave. If you give Emma a sample of dragon rot, she can teach you about this mechanic, which is dragon rot restoration, which allows you to cure that dragon rot. No, please. Quick. Rest. Solved. Yeah, so I should have done that a long time ago, but I just didn't. So, who's attacking the castle is the Interior Ministry of Japan. One sec, I'm scrolling back up. It's more of a cardinal direction thing. I think that's probably fair. Yes, that would make sense. What the West specifically represents, I have no idea. So Ashina is its own, like, province, where we are right now. And Owl, your shinobi dad, brings shinobi from the Interior Ministry of Japan to Ashina to obtain immortality, because Kuro's here. And I assume when he dies, the Interior Ministry of Japan finds out and attacks in full force. There's a theme in this game about conflict, conflict and hatred, like bringing forth chaos and like real danger. And so this is like the culmination of all of that. The conflict between Kuro and Genichiro over the immortality drew Owl and his shinobi, which drew full-out war, because of all the hatred. The villainous ending of the game, if you choose to side with Owl instead of Kuro, and you betray him, you are Emma accuses you of giving in to the hatred, and she claims that you have become Shura, a demon of sorts. And then she attacks you, and then you have to kill her. You'll see in a second that one of the characters we know and love gave in to the hatred and has also become Shura. I believe they are trying to find Kuro. Where the frick am I supposed to be going? Stop. I think they're trying to find Kuro for the immortality, like always, because probably Owl never reported back, because we killed his ass. I still have no idea where I'm supposed to go. I'm figuring it out. I really don't have to fight this guy right now. And I'm not gonna. And you can't make me. Oh, this is bad. Yeah. I'm gonna try to cheese this fight. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you guys. I don't want to fight this. I don't want to do this the right way. It's too hard. Both of these mini-bosses are hard enough on their own. I guess not the little guy, but... You got me absolutely fricked. I have never fought these two legitimately before. I am regretting it. It's not even the way I want to go right now. I want to go the other way. I'm gonna go over there. Golly, Miss Molly? I am lost? Will somebody please save me from this nightmare? I have never become lost like this before in this game. I simply do not understand. It looks like the last thing I'm going to do tonight is figure out where the hell I am. If even that. Stop. That's where I want to be. I want to be over there. This just presents another dilemma because I can't get up there. What do you mean? There's an item over there. That's the way that I want to go. Okay. There's a shinobi fight. There it is. Sorry, folks. Sorry. We are on track now. Woo!
Please, the castle outskirts are in bad shape. Damn the Ministry forces. They've taken up the Serpent Valley. Please.
There's also, I don't know the full history of the game, but there's an implication that the only reason Ashina exists as its own autonomous province is because of a rebellion that Ishin, the old guy, successfully led. So, I guess this is just the Interior Ministry of Japan. Not a coup, because it was they seceded, right? So they didn't overthrow the Interior Ministry of Japan. They just became autonomous in a hard-fought war, which is the opening cutscene. So this might just be a re-invasion. Especially since Ishin just recently died. And Genichiro is nowhere to be found. So there's really no one to defend Ashina. I guess in some ways you could say that Genichiro maybe was right to want unlimited power to defend Ashina. But not in the way he sought it out. I forgot how to use items. Having a terrible time. Oh, it's all going wrong. Help, I forgot how the game is controlled. Alright. My promise to you, the people of this stream. I will defeat this boss. If it's the last thing I do tonight, which it will be. That is the fictional history of the game. Unless it's real history, and I also don't know the history of Japan. But I thought that it was the fictional history of the game. There might be a bonfire that's closer than this. Ashina was a real district? Did it lead an uprising and become autonomous for a short time? That's kind of why. Big if true. Alright. We're making progress. So I want to get a stealth kill. Do I want to get a stealth kill on the guy? No, I just want to hit the boss. Yes. Shigekichi of the Red Guard. Longtime viewers will recognize him as Juzo the Drunkard, but a reskin. Does anyone know who streams on Monday nights that we can raid after this? Whoop! It's like a truck. He hits like a box full of trucks. But I got him. Yeah, hard to tell how many of these games are real or not. I mean, obviously this one gives up on realism after a point, right? Because of the giant snake and the divine dragon and actual literal immortality. But yeah, I didn't know if it was based on like real history. It's at least inspired by, because it's clearly set in a time, in a place. And like the Interior Ministry of Japan is like a real thing. I hope I don't get got by this like one dude. That'd be a real bummer. I got by this one dude. It was a real bummer, I knew it. Got a really cool moveset, my guy. I wish you would die. Alright, let's find a bonfire. And then we can find someone to raid. Whoops. Okay. It's all bad. There's one. Oh no, you didn't. Oof. Wait. Please. Please. Just let me sleep. Okay. 2 hours and 30 seconds. Perfect. Perfect timing. I literally could not have asked for better. Let's see who we got. Who's online? Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening to me talk about politics, which I know isn't always wanted on a gaming stream, but I'm happy to have everyone along for the ride. Dan Olson is on. We'd be a drop in a large pond, but I like Dan Olson. Let's do that. You guys are helping me get my name out there every time we raid. I appreciate it. Lavu Lavu. I'll stick around in the chat for a little while. But then I'm going to bed. I got work tomorrow. Thanks for coming, both of y'all. And have a wonderful night.